We're absolutely proud and excited to be here this evening with Women in Business New York with co-founders Cassandra Tennyson, Corinne Fung, and absolutely excited to be here with Councilmember Lori Cumbo. So Women in Business New York is an exclusive network for women entrepreneurs, and we're here today to learn a little bit more about Women in Business New York from Cassandra.
Hello everyone, Cassandra Tennyson. Today is a fantastic day. Women in Business is for a network and an accelerator for women-owned businesses. We want women to learn more about what opportunities are out there, and we also want the city and state of New York to acknowledge us. We are money makers, we are here to stay, and we just want to be seen and heard.
So, Councilmember Cumbo, I would love to learn a little bit more about what the City Council is doing to support women entrepreneurs.
I just want to first start off by saying I am so proud of these dynamic women, and to have this happen here in Brooklyn is so exciting because Brooklyn to me is where dreams come true. Brooklyn is where what was once thought of as impossible becomes so very possible, and I'm excited to absorb this Brooklyn energy. And for women in business to start right here in this borough, I already know it's going to be a phenomenal success because this is where everything happens, and it has to happen here because we are thriving as a borough. We are generating more income, creating more jobs. We are the fastest growing in areas such as hospitality, arts and culture, also our medical facilities. But what's also so very important are our local small businesses, and that's really the bedrock of Brooklyn, New York. I'm so proud to be a resident here because we have seen so many dynamic women. We are the fastest growing entrepreneurs in the nation, and so we have to look at women of color and their ability to generate those resources. One of the things that our controller, Scott Stringer, spoke about is that New York City does almost $16 billion in contracts every year. That's your tax-paying dollars, $16 billion. But minority and women-owned businesses account for less than 4% of all the contracts that the city is doing. So we in the city of New York, Mayor de Blasio has taken a step in the right direction, but it is only a step in what should be a marathon of steps that need to take place. But he's putting forward $20 million to help organizations that want to apply for funding to be able to have the resources to do that, the ability to be able to have money lent to them, the ability for bonding and insurance and all of those sorts of things to make it possible for women-owned businesses. But we're doing it right here today in the Navy Yard. We have an opportunity with Building 77 and its expansion. We have more jobs created here in the Navy Yard than anywhere else in the borough of Brooklyn, and women are a main component to the success of the Navy Yard. So as chair of the Women's Issues Committee, we're going to continue to work with our local businesses. We're going to continue, as Mayor de Blasio spoke about yesterday. He spoke about the fact that in the Bloomberg administration, we often fined businesses. We would give them fines, and they would have to pay hefty fines. But now what we're doing is we're interrupting that process. We're going to show local businesses, and that includes everyone, what the steps are that they need to resolve their issues so that they're not so heavily fined. We want to give businesses the tools and the techniques in order to not be so heavily fined and those sorts of things. We want to create a dynamic where they are given technical assistance and the opportunity to apply for loans. So there's a lot that the City Council is doing, and I'm so proud to be here to celebrate today.
Well, it's really great to hear about the action that's taking place both with City Council and the Council on Women. But Corinne, I would love to learn a little bit more about why it was important to have this event during Women's History Month and about some of the tools Women in Business New York will pass on to some women entrepreneurs in New York City.
Well, it was very important for Cassandra and I to host this event, especially at the Navy Yard, just because we know as entrepreneurs ourselves how important it is to celebrate other women. Women helping women, women supporting women is our mission, and we definitely feel that it needs to be accomplished here at the Navy Yard. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies. Cassandra, just one closing thought. How do you keep your members inspired and pushing forward through the challenges that lots of entrepreneurs, but especially women entrepreneurs, face?
The biggest thing that we have to do at Women in Business is really share information. We're here to give the information. We're here to guide them through the process because paperwork can be daunting. So we're here to make sure that they're following all the instructions in terms of filling out the paperwork and finding the right structures, including finance, because finance is a huge part of supporting your businesses. And Women in Business is here to show you all of the steps to make sure that you have a very successful company.
So thank you for joining us at Women in Business New York at the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Hello, everyone. Can we please be seated? We'd love to start the panel. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Cassandra Tennyson, and I'm one of the co-founders of Women in Business New York, also the owner of Sublime Women's Events, and I am so excited that you all were able to make it.
Hello, my name is Corin Fung, and I am a co-founder of Women in Business New York, as well as the founder of JMSW Printing.
We have our panel here today, but first of all, we wanted to at least take a moment out and be thankful and joyful that we're here as women in business, and knowing that a higher and greater being is in the room guiding us every day in our businesses and in our daily lives. I'd like to also bring up Jocelyn Rainey from the Brooklyn Navy Yard.
Particularly excited because some of the people that work here and really help with our thriving economic development organization are here as well. So we're glad that CACI is here and they're part of this. I am the Chief Administrative Officer, and I'm also the MWBE Officer. So the Navy Yard is very, very much committed to using minority and women-owned businesses in our day-to-day contracting. We are a 300-acre industrial park. We have over 300 businesses here that do business every day. 7,000 people come here to work. We are going through our largest growth. And in the next 5 years, there'll be over 20,000 people coming here. So the opportunities here are amazing. And our CEO, who couldn't be here today and he really wanted to be here, and I'm here to bring you greetings for him, is really,
My name is Melanie Farah. I am the chair of the New York City chapter of DAWN, which is the Diaspora African Women's Network. I am an education activist who currently works in early childhood education, and I am the former host of a Brooklyn Independent television show. And I'm excited to be here with the lovely ladies and powerful women that we have on this panel. And I would love if you all could take a few moments to introduce yourselves and briefly tell us a little bit about how you became an entrepreneur.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Shalay Sims. I'm a professor of management at SUNY Westbury, as well as the assistant vice president for academic affairs. I also do community.
Hi, my name is Nicole Fonseca. I'm also a restaurateur. And a little bit of information on myself. I was in advertising, was at Saatchi & Saatchi when I realized that Filipino food had zero presence. And I decided if no one was going to do it, then I would. So I moonlighted for 12 years. I was an ad exec by day and worked my way up to VP. But by night, I started being a dishwasher and a host, a waitress, a bartender, and a manager, so that I could learn this industry and that I could only depend on myself. Shake Shack, among others, in 2014. I have 2 stars in the New York Times, and I've had really good luck with press without having formal PR.
My name is Courtney Arrington Baldwin, and I'm the co-owner of Mr. Baldwin Style, which is actually a menswear wardrobe styling company, where my husband and we own it together. We focus on wardrobe styling for grooms and just men in general. So my background is actually completely different. I have a civil engineering degree. I spent 15 years in construction, out on the job site, project manager, building buildings up to $93 million, and just in the last 2.5 years have founded this company with my husband, and then for the last year made the full transition to being a full-time entrepreneur.
My name is Sherelle Starr, and I am the founder and CEO of Not Just a Girl in a Dress. It is a lifestyle blog that covers fashion, beauty, technology, and of course entrepreneurship. And I'm really focused on helping people find their own version of success, their own path to success. That's really what the site's about. I started my journey to the land of entrepreneurship about 5 years ago, where I started my own tech startup firm. And when I was doing that, I was also blogging on the side. And what I found was people were more attracted to the blog than the business itself. And so I was actually making more money off the blog than the business I was running. And so I closed that down and sort of rebranded the blog into Not Just a Girl in a Dress, what it is now. And so I've been working on that for the last 4 years. My background's in PR and events, and so I sort of took a non-traditional journey to entrepreneurship.
Sherelle, why don't you talk to us a little bit about how you define success in your own terms?
Sure. You know, for me, it took a long time for me to figure out what I wanted in life. You know, I started working in PR and events because truly I knew you could make a lot of money in it. So I went to college for public relations. I graduated, started working in public relations. And it really all stemmed from me growing up, you know, in Harlem. I was in and out of foster care, really, you know, poor home. And so for me, making money was top of mind. So I thought that would make me feel really successful. And as I started making money, you know, I was making more money than anyone in my family had ever made, you know, 6-figure income at like 25 years old, but I wasn't feeling complete. And so it took me a long time to figure out what success was truly to me. And for me, it really is being able to build a home. I just recently got married, and I'm looking forward to sort of having kids with my husband and building this home together, and also being able to be creative in my own way and help other people. That's what really excites me, is not only seeing my business grow, but when other people email me and say, oh, I'm so glad you shared that tip, or I'm so glad you shared that challenge that you know, fashion designer was having, because it helped me get through the day. And so those are things that I find really passionate, I find motivating. So that's sort of how I've been defining success for myself lately.
Positive feedback.
Exactly.
Well, with that said, Raquel, I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you define success. Did you wake up and decide that you were going to go into this journey and I'm going to purchase IHOP and I know this is going to be amazing? Or let's tell it, I love your story, but everyone doesn't know your story. So I would love for you to talk a little bit about how you define success on your terms.
Okay, since we're being totally honest.
Yes.
Success found me. Okay. I was very comfortable with being the shadow of my husband. So this was my husband's vision, my husband's dream. And it came about with the IHOPs. My husband and I had many businesses, real estates. We had a nightclub right down the block on Washington and Flushing many years ago, before this whole resurgence of the Navy Yard started. We had the vision that, you know what, this is a great, you know, property, and we want to, you know, we want to figure out how can we be a part of it. So we opened Rain Bar and Lounge, not too, like I said, steps away, but more importantly, one night while we were there, it was a major snowstorm in New York, and my eldest daughter, I only had one child at the time, she wanted to go to IHOP. And so there was only one IHOP in Brooklyn. We're not going to say where it is, but we all know where that IHOP is.
Yes.
And so we lived blocks away from here. We drove across town to this one IHOP that I grew up at, and it wasn't a pleasant experience. So we, in this snowstorm, trucked to New Jersey to go to an IHOP. And that night, my husband said to his attorney, let's see what we can do to open an IHOP in Brooklyn. My husband was amazing with foresight. He knew what needed to be where and when. And so I personally thought he was crazy. So that's why I said success found me, because I couldn't see the vision at the time. And so, long story made short, we opened 4 years, actually, waited 4 years to be approved by IHOP. Going back and forth to California on our own dime, spending our own monies in hotels and, you know, just doing everything that they required us to do. By the grace of God, we got our first location, which was the Livingston location 4 years later. And within months, we became the sole developers for Brooklyn because the store took off. We were the #1 store in the country for 7 years. And so, blessing, yeah. And so with that being said, they said, you guys know what you're doing. You're the developers for Brooklyn. So Donald Trump could come to Brooklyn and open, you know, want to open an IHOP, but he can't because I'm the sole developer.
Thank you for that. Things are at work, and that sometimes you don't have to make as fast a decision as you think you have to
before take the time to think, why am I making this decision? Who am I taking into consideration? Is this really working for the business? Can I make a different decision? And I think if you slow down our decision making a little bit, it makes a difference.
Becoming an entrepreneur affected your family lifestyle.
Well, I have the mic, so with that. So, I decided I didn't like my job, and so I wanted to go back to school to do research about businesses. And when I started back in school, I had twin daughters. They were turning 4, and I went to school in Connecticut. And I had to figure out, I don't want to leave my children. My husband doesn't know how to do hair. I have to figure all of these things out because they matter, right? You have a 1-year-old whose hair doesn't get done, she doesn't care. You have a 3-year-old who thinks she's cute, they start to care. And so you all of those things start to play out. And I'm 3 hours away from home. I have to figure out who's going to pick people up. My phone bill at AT&T, my phone bill was $700 one month because people kept calling me, Mommy, what's going on? Shalay, what are you doing? Blah, blah, blah. Because all of these things had to be done at the same time that I'm trying to pursue what I want to do. And without the support, which is why I created it, because everybody else was here. I'm from Brooklyn. My parents, my husband's parents, anybody who I needed in an emergency, if somebody's sick, if somebody needs to be picked up at short notice, if somebody gets forgotten, all of those things matter. And I had to figure out, how do I manage my support while pursuing what I want to do, right? And sometimes that support can lead to, I mean, if you look at the women on this panel, leads to success that sometimes is out of balance in your relationship, right? Where one is making a little more money than the other, one is getting a few more accolades than the other, and I had to figure out how to make sure that my family always knew that they were first and that they were part of the process. So I took my children with me if I did research presentations. I took my husband with me. He would help me think about negotiating for jobs, help me think about, once I wanted to do consulting, help me think about where my deficits were and how to complement my deficits, so that the whole time they were always a part of the process. And so that I didn't feel like, even though day to day I'm making trade-offs, in the end my family didn't have to be totally sacrificed in order for my vision to be met.
I pretty much found that, you know, my family, I have a great support system. What I didn't say to many of you is that I'm newly widowed. 3.5 years ago, my husband died of stage 4 colorectal cancer 2 days after his 40th birthday. How does that happen? 6'4", 240 pounds, extremely healthy, extremely handsome, you know, and didn't get sick. My children would be sick and I'll be like, oh, and he'll be catching throw up in his hand and never get sick. But that was God's will, right? So for me, my family was very supportive of being there and helping nurture and raise the children and be there for me in that 3 months that my husband was sick and taken from us. What I find is that they think that because everything is pretty much established, our real estate and the stores, that I should be comfortable in saying, I don't have to want more. I don't have to do anything else. And so for me, I have to. I feel like it's not for me because I never expected my husband to not be here in all that we built together. I was that silent, very strong force behind my husband. I was comfortable with that. What I didn't know is that all of that was God's preparation for me to stand now and build 2 stores in 3 years, which is, you can attest to this. It's just God's blessing. Like, you don't build 2 franchise stores. Everybody in the industry thought I was crazy, but it was our will. And for me, it's the legacy of my children. And so when you say family, that's my strength. That's what I want to do. I want to leave them so that my 17-year-old, when she graduates and she has a store. That's her legacy. So that's what I'm looking to do now. And that's what I want to tell everybody else. That's what's important. Don't buy your kids a car for graduation. So what, you can buy them a car. Buy them a franchise. You know, teach them to be their own boss. Don't let them graduate with debt. Let them graduate with something that they can pour themselves into.
You know, I don't want to drift too far away from family, but I do want to shift a little bit. Sherelle, you said you were newly married. Can you talk to us a little bit about
the importance of selecting a partner in light of being an entrepreneur. I think it's important, and I think it often gets lost in the conversation. And we're in a room full of women. I would love for you to share a little bit about the importance of that.
Yeah, well, what I would say is, my husband and I met at a very interesting time in my life. I had just quit my job and decided I'm going to do entrepreneurship, and we met online. We actually met on eHarmony, so we were in online romance. And so when he met me, I was already, I had already taken the first step, I had cut the strings. And so he met me at a very, very interesting time when, I would have these extreme highs, when something good would be going right, and these extreme lows when something bad was going wrong. And so he sort of helped me navigate all of that. And he's just sort of become my rock. No one's more supportive of me than my husband, Stephen. To this day, I mean, if something big is happening, he is my biggest cheerleader. If something bad is happening, he is the one pushing me and reminding me, you've gotten through worse. And so it's just so important to make sure you find someone that, what I do and what Stephen do, we're on two very different sort of paths as far as career-wise goes. He's in education, he's an administrator, he's very successful at what he does, but it's very, very important to find someone who has a passion like you have, and someone who wants to push you and will always make you do your best and always help you do your best. I feel I do that for him, and I know he does that for me, and I think that is more important than anything else, making sure that you're both bringing that to the table.
I love this. Nicole? And just to be clear, when I talk about partner, it could be your business partner, your life partner, male or female. We're thinking about people who can be complements in our lives. So I would love for any of you to just share a little bit about Nicole.
Well, my business partner is also my life partner, and we're newly engaged.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm at the beginning stages of learning how to balance all of this. And it's difficult. You go home and you want to talk about work, and you want to complain or vent about someone at work who happens to be the person also lying next to you. So that is not romantic. But it's real. And I think the one thing I can say that in hindsight, looking on our relationship, is knowing when to fight and knowing when to take flight, and knowing when to, it's not worth the argument. But we're both very strong-willed. He's Dominican. Yeah, the representation here in the room. So, we talked earlier, so we talked about our backgrounds, but yeah, we're also balancing our different cultures, mixed cultures. Like, it's intense. We deal with work, we deal with love, we deal with cultures, we deal with expectations. All I can say is some way and somehow we're making it work day by day.
So Courtney, you must have advice.
Yeah, I definitely do. I think, as Jerome was saying, just having someone that is supportive and in your corner is so key. I mean, I think my husband, probably upon marrying me, thought that my path was engineering. This is thing, girl power, and then last year I'm like, I gotta get out of this. I want to do Mr. Baldwin style full time, and I think that was probably a shot to him. I mean, it's a large income out of the house, so you need that support. You need someone that understands the changes that you have in life, and realistically, you change as a person. What becomes important, what's important to you at one point is not what may be later on. So, my priorities changed. I wanted to not be so.
I just want to talk about getting capital is important.
Thank you.
Getting capital is important, but it is not as important as understanding how to use that capital. And we think that if we throw money at an issue, that it will solve itself. But if you do not have a clear understanding about what your business is, how it's growing, and how you intend to use that capital, then it just causes more problems than creates solutions. So I just think be very mindful of how you approach your seeking capital.
For us, we initially started out, like I believe and I tell everybody, your credit. You have to have good credit. I have one of my bankers in the room. And so, in all honesty, when we initially started, we had several businesses which helped us to fund the bigger entities, but traditional banking was what we did initially, and having the good credit enabled us to do that. But in building the other stores, we found that it was more beneficiary for us, my partner and myself, after my husband passed on, for us to use our own funding, because then when you have some people say, you know what, you don't use your own money, you use somebody else's money, but at the end of the day, when you have to pay back a hard money loan, or you have to pay back a traditional institute, it's a lot more stressful than you having to say, you know what, I've used my own money, so I'm going to make sure that, you know, I'm here, I'm watching everything, I'm overseeing everything, and I'm delegating where, you know, this money's going. And so you have that power, that authority, more so. You have more of a conditioning because it's your money. And so it's a difference, it's a big difference, either which way, whether you borrow it and you know you're still responsible, but when it comes out of your own bank account and you see it and you have to write those checks, it becomes more of a realistic thing for us. That's what we found.
I'm what some people call scrappy, so I have to find solutions where I don't think there will be any. And the average restaurant costs about $300,000 to $500,000 to start, and 9 out of 10 restaurants will fail in year 1. So let's do the math. If it's $500,000 and 9 of those restaurants fail, that's $4.5 million that go away every year by people having dreams, which is great, but not managing the money, understanding, not just throwing money at everything. In my case, I opened the restaurant with $10,000, and that sounds really wild, but I do recommend keep talking about your dream and working on it. I happened to be in a cafe, and I was talking about, man, no one will invest in me, I have no experience, all the things that are reasons why you probably won't get a loan, or someone may not invest in you. And someone overheard me and offered me her restaurant, and came to the pop-up and saw the lines. By the second weekend of my pop-up, I had a 2-hour wait for a reservation and a 3-month wait for actual reservation. The second restaurant I opened.
And can you share the name of the restaurant one more time?
Oh, we have to plug, right? Okay, so the first restaurant is called, thank you, Maharlika, and it's one of the first modern Filipino restaurants. And what's exciting is that if I look on hashtags or that whole social media thing, I see people from Dubai and London very much inspired by my dishes or concept, so that's exciting. The second restaurant is called Jeepney, and it was owned by a mom and pop. They had just opened, and I knew it wasn't going to work out. They were older, I think in their 70s, not that you can't open at any age, but this restaurant's pretty grueling, this industry. So I said, if you need any help, just come find me and I will help you. And they came to me and said, you know what, you are right, we want out. And I took it over for $80K, and we just celebrated 3 years.
Congratulations. So we're running a little low on time, so I wanted to be able to take some questions from the audience, and while you can get down the line. But do we have any questions from the audience?
I have a suggestion.
Yes.
My name is Karen Groves, and I'm a branch manager with Chase Bank. And I'm sitting and I'm listening to you guys, and as entrepreneurs, one of the things that I would recommend in the financial world, I see happens every day. When people come in and they need loans, and you know, you're an entrepreneur.
Can somebody study your mom? She's talking about loans and capital, and she needs money. Thank you.
So basically what happens is, you know, they come in, you may have the money in the bank, have good credit, but if you don't show that income, we are not giving you the loan. So my piece of advice to you is, I think what business owners do, they pocket the money to, you know, put in their bank accounts, don't show it to the government. Because what we look at to see, okay, how can you pay this back? Are you making an income? If you're not making an income, we're not going to do it. So that's my advice to all of you. Show the money.
I love that. So accuracy and transparency can support your success. Let's not be afraid of leaving that paper trail that demonstrates how we succeeded along the way. So I'm going to just start this way. Do we have any other questions?
I just had a comment or question on that.
Yeah.
We
have a mic.
If you're able to show the income, but your business is not, I guess, incorporated long enough to show the credit worthiness, how does that come into play?
So what we look at is, especially for small businesses, it's very, very hard. So what the bank wants to see is at least you have to be in business for like 2 to 5 years. If you're not in business that long, then, because we need to see something historically, what's going on with the finance part of it. So we want to make sure that, you have some kind of, building so that we can say, okay, if we give you $1 million, how are we going to get paid? Because we want to know how we're going to get paid back.
Ladies, any other questions? No? So we're going to start with Sherelle Starr, and she's going to give you your first takeaway, that first action step to consider.
I would probably say the first action step to consider would be, don't leave this room without making at least a coffee date with someone that you just met here. As women entrepreneurs, female entrepreneurs, it can be very, you can feel very alone. You can feel like you don't have a good support system around you, and you'd be amazed at the door.
We oftentimes just act. We don't think about the good, the bad, the ugly, the time away from the family, the time away from, the things that you enjoy. So you have to have a plan, write it out, I know it sounds corny, but say have a 5-year plan, have a 5-day plan. Because every day when you own your own business, it's a struggle, it's a fight, and nobody's gonna really understand what
you were able to share not only your insights, but some of your personal stories that really hit home and touch us, that keep us going at the end of the day. And thank you all for coming and celebrating Brooklyn and celebrating Women in Business New York. Thank you.
With the person in front of you so that they feel comfortable referring you to their circle, referring you to their tribe. You're not here to sell me on your coaching sessions, on your real estate deals, on buying a car. You're here to get me to trust you, to feel comfortable with you, so that I will tell my friend about you when she's ready to buy a house, or I will tell my husband about you when you're looking for a good place to send your kid to school. It's about me trusting you and feeling comfortable with you. So totally change your mindset. Networking would love to talk to you, and so you get excited and you want to help them. Don't do that. Again, this is about building a relationship between the two people that are there. Instead of that, you can say, what makes someone, what makes someone a good fit for your industry, for your career? And as they're telling you, again, having that conversation, that conversational exchange, you can say, you know what, I know someone who might actually, I'm learning to trust you. Use an actionable elevator speech. We all hear about your elevator speech. It should be 60 seconds, it should be 20 seconds. It definitely needs to be why you're really good at it, but more important than that, you need to tell people how they can help you. This is a networking event. We all came here with the same goal of sort of making sure our businesses are going to grow. I want to help you. If you don't tell me how I can help you, I'm not going to be able to. So I like to use this sort of little quick paragraph speech, which of all of this that's on this sheet, and I'm going to show you an example in a second, the key is right there at the bottom. I'm here to date the cut. Why did you come to this event? What are you hoping to get out of being in this room with all of these women around you? And a quick example of that is my actionable elevator speech. My name is Sherelle Starr, and I use my love for fashion, beauty, technology, and entrepreneurship, and my passion for telling inspiring stories to help people find their own version of success. Known for my lifestyle and business blog, I use my positive and bubbly personality to motivate my readers and give them the best news, expert tips, and lifestyle resources to help them on their professional journey. I am here today because I'm always on the lookout for great success stories to feature on my site and potential brands that want to connect with my community of entrepreneurs in a relevant and engaging way. So if I'm sharing that last line with you, why I think put you in contact, it's not about me pushing, trying to sell you, just letting you know, this is why I'm here, this is what I'm hoping to get out of this event. That was really fast. I think maybe 5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes. So again, go through, have a conversation with them, ask them conversational
So we're here
questions.
enjoying a wonderful evening at Women in Business New York, and we want to get some feedback from one of our fabulous audience members. If you could tell us a little bit about who you are, your business, and then what was your favorite takeaway from this evening?
So my name is Sharufa Rashid Walker. I am a Brooklyn-based women's wear designer. My brand is called Janaki, which means self-confident and proud in Kiswahili. And I came here this evening just to really absorb the energy of fellow women entrepreneurs and to also educate and learn some things. And tonight, one of the biggest things that I took home was the sense of community. A lot of times with women in business, you're multitasking, you're doing everything by yourself, and you forget that there are other women out there that are doing the same with you. And so having that sense of camaraderie in this room has kind of recharged my batteries a little bit to give me, the energy that I need to get up tomorrow and start all over again.
So she clearly looks fabulous, but what if I need some Janaki in my life? Because I need some color, I need some guidance. How do we find you? How do we reach you? And how do we look like this?
Oh, thank you. So you can find me on the web, of course. It's www.janaki, JINAKI.net. Not .com. Somebody's holding my .com hostage, but .net. You'll be able to find me there, and then through there, the whole social media handles, I'm available. And the great thing about it is that I've recently transitioned the business from solely retail, selling e-commerce, into a wholesale sector. So I'm working with buyers. I have placement in stores in Brooklyn, as well in the city, as well in Atlanta, as well in Martinique. I'm going global. So you can find out all this information via my website again, www.janaki.net.
Thank you so much. It's so great to have you this evening.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Tawana. Thank you so much for agreeing to chat with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
So tell me a little bit about your business. What do you do?
Well, I'm a woman of many hats. Right now, I'm currently working on my TV show called Caribbean Video Hits. It's a music video show similar to 106 & Park, but with a more Caribbean vibes. So we play music like reggae, soca, compas, Latin music, basically covering the whole Caribbean. We have different artists that come onto the show. They do live performance and interviews with me. And then we also have our studio audience, our DJs, special guest DJs each week. So it's a really fabulous show.
That is awesome, and I love the Caribbean. Oh my goodness. So tell me a little bit, what inspired you to start your company and start this show?
Well, I started out blogging like yourself. That was called Taboo Talk. That expanded into an internet radio show called Taboo Talk. But I wanted to take the radio show to TV, which I did. I turned it into a TV series, and then I added my second show, which is Caribbean Video Hits. I've always loved music and the entertainment business, so jumping from radio to TV and then keeping the music there, it was a must.
I love it. And so jumping from, blogging to radio to TV, what would be your biggest tip or your best tip for someone who wants to maybe have their own TV show similar to what you do?
Never think that it's impossible. If you dream it, it can happen. And just stay focused and work hard at your dreams to make it into reality.
I love that. I love that you're all positive. I love that you're motivating. So going along with that theme, being really motivating, you're here at the Women in Business New York event. What did you think of the event tonight?
It was definitely inspiring hearing different women from all different type of businesses, restaurants, to blogging like yourself, and it was really inspiring. It keeps me motivated and keeps me wanting to do what I do, even though I love it, but it's really empowering to see women of color doing their thing as entrepreneurs.
And big picture, down the line, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
see myself in 5 years. I really see my show, Caribbean Video Hits, taking off to a level where, because right now we have different celebrities, but I'm looking at the big celebrities on the show, and and many viewers and studio audience, to the point where my tickets and seats is like filled up for months at a time. So I really see big things for this show because we get so much positive feedback from the artists, and music producers is reaching out to me, and we just been doing this for a few months now, and then the feedback that I'm getting is awesome.
I love it. And where can we watch your show?
Well, if you have Cablevision, that's every Friday at 4 o'clock, channel 69. Time Warner, that's 1998. And Verizon is channel 44, every Friday at 4 p.m.
I love it. So make sure you check that out. Thank you so much, Joanna, for speaking with us.
My name is Lori Kumball. I am a City Council member of the 35th District, representing Fort Greene, Clinton Hill, Prospect Heights, Crown Heights, and parts of Bedford-Stuyvesant. And I am also chair of the Women's Issues Committee, and I'm also the co-chair of the Women's Caucus. And I'm so proud to be here. When asked why I'm here today, the real answer is because I am childhood friends with Cassandra Tennyson. We went to college together in the Atlanta University Consortium, and we had the incredible opportunity to meet one another. And I say that and mention that because it's so important for young women to recognize how important it is to network, how important it is to create friendships, and how important it is for women to support one another all throughout their educational and academic careers. So the bond and the support that I have for her is because she has been there so many times for me in my political campaign. I've been there for her through her entrepreneurial explorations, and so we're going to continue to work together and continue to build each other up, because that's what Women in Business is all about, and that's really the spirit that we want to cultivate and we want to share here. When you see so many television programs about women, they're often exploiting the fighting, the not getting along, the inability to be able to work together, and that's not who we are. And so we want to portray a different image, but at the same time we want to also give women critical information that they need in order to start their own business. We believe very firmly in the Women's Caucus that by employing more individuals, right, women have the ability to hire, they have the ability to create jobs, they have the ability to build up their communities, and we want to give them the tools to be able to do that, to be the job creators that our city so desperately needs. So I'm very proud to be here. I'm so proud to support Cassandra, a longtime friend, and to make sure that this particular venture thrives, particularly here in Brooklyn, New York.
You've got Cheryl Starr here, and welcome back to the show. We are at the Women in Business New York event, and I've got Arkel Cox, owner of several IHOPs here in Brooklyn, which is amazing. Congratulations, lovely lady. I'm just proud to know you.
Oh, thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how you got started.
Well, initially we just found that there was a need for more than one IHOP in Brooklyn. So we sought out the information. We had some of our attorneys go ahead and research it for us, and then that was it. Overnight, it felt like the process of starting the paperwork was overnight, but the process actually took us 4 years to obtain our first store. But once we got our first store, we was off and running, and I'm thankful to say that we have 3 stores now in Brooklyn.
And what was the inspiration for sort of opening your first IHOP? What inspired you to do it? I heard the story, but I want you to share it with the viewers at home.
The inspiration was just a need. We only had one IHOP in the borough of Brooklyn, and that seemed insane to my husband and I. So we said, you know what, let's figure out what is a need and where can we put this IHOP. And location was key, and it just grew from there, and the vision became bigger and bigger, saying, oh my God, this worked, let's do another one and another one. And we became the developers for IHOPs in Brooklyn.
And you were one of the panelists just now for the Women in Business New York event here. Why are events like this so important for women entrepreneurs?
I believe that these events are so resourceful. They're important because you get to bond and you get the experiences from other women who are trying to do things that you've done. So if you can obtain that information for somebody who's already been there and they've been through the trials and tribulations and they've been through the hardships, and they have the experiences to share with you, why not come together with your fellow females and learn how they've done it so you can now skip that step and get the information from them and go on and build your dreams.
I love it. And you told the audience, it's very, very important to build a legacy. Can you elaborate on that?
Legacy. For me, today, that's what I think about. When I grew up, it was like, what, I want to become such and such. I want to be able to build this or have this, obtain something. But then that's your goal. And we all have kids. I know that you're very interested in starting your family soon. Absolutely. So you'll soon understand this conversation. You said that's what our account meant. Legacy. It's leaving something other than what you've built for yourself for someone else. And so my legacy is for my children, right? My legacy is for my fellow entrepreneurs. Whether it be a male or female, it's just something that I have given back to them, and that's going to be part of my legacy. So that I no longer look at it as what I've accomplished or what I want to do. It's all now about the legacy.
I love it. And talking about that legacy that you built, where can we find your stores to patronize so we help you keep up that legacy?
Well, I'm blessed enough to have 3 locations right here in Brooklyn. One of my locations on Livingston and Bond, Flatbush and Bedford, and Flushing and Broadway. So come by and see us.
So if you're in Brooklyn, you know where you need to be stopping when you have your 3 a.m. cravings or just any times of the day. Make sure you hit up her IHOPs, not any old ones, but hers. And I've got Cassandra here, who's one of the co-founders at the Brooklyn Navy Yards. What an exciting night. Tell us a little bit about what's going on.
Welcome, everyone. Today is such a fantastic day. Women in business, striving, trying to make things better for women in New York in terms of business owners. We are excited. We're here at the Brooklyn Navy Yard. We're a network, and we're also an accelerator. So come join us so that we can make sure that you are well supported.
And tell me a little bit about what inspired you to put this event on tonight. Like you said, it's Women's History Month, but why tonight? Why these women?
We are always strong in numbers. Strength in numbers is how we grow our businesses. We have to support each other. How we started as women in business is that I am an event planner by trade, and Corin is owns a printing company. And we wanted to say, okay, fine, how can we work together? Because it's not only about contracts and bids, it's about literally networking and building your businesses that way.
And, what would you say to the women who are here tonight? What's the one thing you want them to take away from this event?
Patience. It takes time, but build your relationships. Relationship building will get you very far.
Awesome. And you've got one of your lovely panelists right here. Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you do and what your company's about?
Sure. My name is Courtney Arrington Baldwin, and I'm the co-owner of Mr. Baldwin Style, which is a menswear styling business. We focus on wardrobe styling for men and grooms.
And then tell me a little bit, what inspired you to start that particular business? You focus solely on men and grooms, but why men and grooms?
Well, we feel like I own the business with my husband, so he has a long-standing background in fashion, over 9 years. But as we got married, we really realized that there wasn't a lot of focus on the groom, and a lot of times the groom looks like he just showed up. So using his menswear background, we decided that there was a little bit of a void in that area. And so we really we understand as a married couple the importance of the wedding day, and we just wanted to make sure that grooms put their best foot forward in terms of the way that they look on that day.
That is absolutely amazing. What would you say has been the best part of owning your own business to date?
The best part is setting my own schedule, honestly, just having the flexibility to have a work-life balance. In my years of engineering prior to this business, I was very much confined to a set schedule, and just really being able to create a balance has been the most rewarding thing.
That is absolutely amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by and joining us at the Women in Business New York event.